Thank you for the invitation to be here. My title of my lecture is Balancing, and I first want to introduce myself. This is me when I'm very young and start learning to walk. My name is Jeannine Vrins, and I teach at Helmaat University College in Hasselt. I teach there ceramic technology and ceramic art. I also teach at Kunstakademi in Lier, and there I give product design in ceramics. I'm born in the Netherlands, and I live in Belgium. Actually, I'm kind of living in the borderline of the two countries. My educations are, I'm an ME in design and in ceramic art, and I have also postgraduate credits in material science. And if you see the little movie, I'm trying to, for hours, to go and sit in a little basket. And the basket is round, and every time I fall down, and then you see the foot of my mom. You see? It's really, really mean. So I balance all my life, I realized when I saw this little movie. And I try all the time, and I find my way, and I try again, and I try again. So that's actually the start of my life, and I'm still doing it. So it is funny. It goes on and on. This was my first project when I did my design course, and I designed a sink, a ceramic sink, together with a factory in the Netherlands. Sphinx in that time was for bathroom furniture, tiles, and so on. So I started already in that time with ceramics. I did also an internship in ceramic porcelain factory in Delft. So although I was learning for design, I was already very interested in ceramics. But I was not aware that I want to do it for my whole life. But in that time, I was really interested in it. I was looking for balance between language, shape, and body. That was the title of the theme of my master scription in that time. And I visualized it already in that time by a clothes hanger, a coat rack. I don't know, what's the Danish word? Een kleerhanger? Oh, no, it's another one. So it's a triangle, it's a balancing shape, and so I still have it as kind of my motto shape in everything I do. So that was, at that time, my balancing. And this is a view in my studio. I have a long rope, and everything I like and I am interested in, I hang on the rope. Every time it comes back. This was my graduation project in the Art Academy in Antwerp, and there were big balls like that, and they are round on the bottom and balancing in their shape. So, and it were, how do you say, the becken? The beckens, yes. This is also in the same theme, and also these balls are balancing and not on standing straight. Those are casted. The former ones I made in IKWC because I was lucky in my last year in Art Academy. I was invited as young design student to be in IKWC for 3 months for a residency, and they had big kilns and great opportunities to make new things. Also these I made there, like this size, because at home I didn't have that size of kiln yet. So for me it was big work. And this was my interpretation a year later. And the size was like that. So a smaller kiln, and I had to work smaller. And also different colors. In that time I started throwing, because I liked that. As an industrial designer, I've learned casting and making molds and all that techniques for reproduction, but I discovered actually after my art school that throwing is so nice to do, and I like to play and make everything a little bit different. And also I discovered that casting is so difficult to get everything the same. And to get a good production, it's very hard in your own small studio. So I decided just throwing. That's the only thing I was doing at that moment. So I did art projects. This was a project about, how do you say it? The cables above the trains with all the conductors on it. I hang my work at that moment on cables, very thick cables also, and very thin cables, and I tried, and actually it was also kind of balancing. So I played and I balanced. In that time I had a problem, I was working sculptural as an artist, but also making functional wear, because I needed to find my way to earn money for myself. I tried to get a good craftsman. This was a first series I made of functional casted pieces that you can combine all kind of ways and so on. So, trying to balance between craftsmanship, art, and design. In that time, I got my own kiln, because that's really kind of searching. In the beginning, you don't have a kiln, you have to find a place where you can put your kiln. So in that time, I had my kiln, and I choose, I'm going to work with one kind of clay and one kind of glaze, because my whole studio was like that big, and my kiln was also inside of that place. So I really had to choose. So, and the lecture of today was, my title was Choosing. So choosing is also balancing and choosing are the two mottos I have all my working life. So I decided in that time I wanted to make functional wear that's always a little bit different, but you want to touch it, you want to use it and to keep it against your skin. So the ceramic skin in that time was already one of my interests, and this outside is a terra sigillata. So I discovered the terra sigillata on IKWC. I met Anton Reinders in that time over there. He's also very much working with terra sigillata. This is terra sigillata from white clay, but if you fire it on a certain temperature, you get a kind of a skinish color. And the inside is a white tin glaze at that time. So I made small collections. I had an agent who sold my work to restaurants, and I worked on commission, a small series, just throwing and firing in that one clay with that one glaze, and didn't have more time to research. But I tried to play with shapes. And if you see the teapot, the bottom is also round, again. And this one, there's a little ear, and it's really the shape of a little ear that you can, if you talk, the cup listens to what you are saying. Big vases, like that big. You see the teapot with a round bottom. And in that time I got also 2 children, so not in 1 year, but in several years. I got 2 boys, and my youngest boy still likes that teapot a lot. And in the beginning, the top was not red, it was just the normal color. And he said, "Mom, why is this pot it doesn't have a red head? We are drinking gnome tea. We had a tea that was gnome tea. And why is the head not red?" So since then, I make a red hat. I designed also a lot of pieces for restaurants and also for use. It was functional wear, so you really felt my design background. The nicest thing from throwing is that you can make every piece different. On the other hand, making again and again and again the same, sometimes it's like your back is hurting and your hands are hurting, so it's a really hard job. So I found the limits in that time also for my body, that it gives the end of too many pieces that you have to throw. So here you see me in my small studio space. You see a kiln, and there in the corner you see the throwing wheels. I have two, and that's it. It's not bigger than that. But I experimented with shapes in that time, and here you see sometimes upside down, because clay has a very nice texotropy. If you shake it, it goes wobbling, and I tried to make all kinds of shapes with that. So in that time, I was more researching in shape than in color and the outside of my work. I got also commissions for factories. This is for a flower pot factory. I designed them on my wheel, and they made an interpretation, made from a piece a mold, and they did mass production. That was a good idea, I thought. Then I don't have to make too many. I love the throwing and the designing part, and then I sold my design to the factory, and they remade it. And it was like, that was nice, and my back didn't hurt that much. That was... Also, I started teaching, and I realized that I like that combination a lot. And yeah, art, design, and teaching. For me, it's a perfect combination. I can do it together. This is also a commission by the coffee brand Jacques Mott, and that was really amazing. I made a wheel-thrown piece. They sent it to China, and really a huge amount of this design came back on big pallets, and I made pictures of the pallets and of all packaged cups. If you bought in that time 3 parcels of that coffee, you get such a cup for free. It was, but it's done. You cannot get them anymore. Another commission for a company. It's from Xerox. Made a lot of plates, designed a lot of plates for them, and small pieces for in restaurants. Yeah, my designing, I tried also with throwing to make design lamps. Small ones, table designs, and these are big, long chains of thrown pieces, and they hang in libraries and health center in Belgium. So commissions for that kind of clients. This was for a glasses shop, optic shop. My glasses still come from that shop. Actually, it looks like what I'm wearing now, but this is already 10 years ago. So I thrown square tiles. So they are all thrown, hand thrown. I threw a big cylinder, cut them in pieces, put them flat, and put a nose from the inside to the outside. And they are still there. So my husband phoned me yesterday. He said, "Yeah, I've bought a new sunglasses. It was hanging on your tiles." So it's nice that it goes on. In that time, I was a little bit, you say, always that white and always the same. It was a pity also, because I was curious for what was happening with all colors. And while I was teaching, I also felt the curiosity of experimenting and the colors I want to explore, but my studio was really far too small. And how long ago was it that you were with us in the studio? We bought, that was 8 years?
That was when the school was in the basement.
Yeah, but they did after 8 years ago or something? Or 7 years ago, we bought the house next door.
That's not so long.
And not so long, 6 years ago.
2019.
She was the first one who was exhibiting in my new studio. So we bought the house next door, and behind that house is a small back house. How do you say it? Back house. This is it. Now I have much more space, but you see me working And since then, it's like I had a lot more space, and space has so much influence in how you think and what you're doing. So since then, I really take the time to explore everything. And yeah, you see me mixing, and yeah, since then, I'm doing more and more research and take the time for researching. So since then, the balance is between teaching, art, and research. Because designing, it's a little bit involved in my art too, but I really choose to go for art because I cannot make a living from throwing pots and pots and pots. And I see more challenge in making art than in making always the same. Because your clients always ask for the same cups and saucers and plates, and you cannot design again a totally new kind of plate or cup and saucer. So I share my studio with Liesbeth van Huysen. She is also an artist. We live together, next to each other. She lives in that house that we have bought. And we share our studio. And that's really, really funny. If you share a studio, you grow to each other also in your work. And sometimes really our work fits together and jumps together and forms a new piece. And then functional pieces can be art pieces. So, and the playing goes on. This is my new approach, my new direction. Oops. I make, this one is like this size. I make small pieces. I started working smaller and smaller. I started once with that big balls. But yeah, I'm also very interested in everything that's more sustainable. I want to be more sustainable, but making art is not sustainable. Never, it cannot be. So I decided if I want to test a lot and I want to make art, then it has to become more small and small pieces. And sometimes it goes 3 times in the kiln, so I can test a lot. And that's what I want, because I make art to learn a lot out of my material. And that knowledge I want to use in teaching. So it is for me like kind of my repertoire is about testing and discovering things that I can use in teaching. And yeah, it happens that it becomes art. So it's, balancing. I make also little boxes out of my leftover clay for putting my pieces in. This is also, again, with Liesbeth, the combination. These are only that big. This one almost flies away. It's also on its pedestal, but it's also the box where you can put it in. And all the colors are actually out of my research. So I started researching, and everything I have left over I use in my artworks. And I wanted to make new shapes and try different things. Since then, I also realized I make more and more pieces that can pour out. Schenken in Dutch. Schenken in Dutch means giving, also giving. Is that also the same word in Danish? Schenken is also giving? Yeah. Yes. In Dutch, it's really nice. The 2 words have the different meaning. So I try to make schenkes, and I want to give something. So actually, since then, I make only the pictures, but in English it doesn't sound nice. Pictures, I don't like that word. Also very small. And this is also a picture, but it's also inspired by a crane, but which was for several years behind my garden, behind my back. In the back of our house was a big building broken down, and they built new buildings on it. And so when I was in the garden, I always saw that big crane, and if it is there for years, you get really inspired by cranes. I can really, Lilla, I guess you would love it, but now it's gone. Yeah. So this is a big yellow crane, because there's also a yellow crane in the neighborhood, and you have beautiful colors for the cranes if you once you start looking at it. And in China, I even saw pink cranes. I loved it. So yes. And also a little box where it fits in. This is not a real crane, but you feel a little bit like it. It is made with leftovers, and I really search for layering my pieces. So you first have the bisque, you put some engobes on it, then it goes a layer of glaze over it, and then goes a layer of unglaze, and even engobes again on the glaze. So I like to make layering that you feel also that my piece has more stories than only on the surface. And I combine it. So these were textiles for transfers, and I was looking for certain colors for transfers. And yeah, I play with it, then the textiles becomes also a part of my art. So it's going in an overlap. I cannot say where the research starts or the art begins. It goes into each other. Also, this one is always almost a little bit higher, 20 centimeters. So my teaching goes on, and my research and my art, it's a combination. And my research really involves my teaching, and my research are very important for my art. So I cannot say that one of those three is more important or less important. I need them, all of them. I cannot do them all together. There are periods in the year that I'm really involved with teaching. I cannot make my pieces. That's not something you can do in the same time. So when July starts, for me, my art period will start. And then in September, I can do an exhibition, but not before. But I need all the three of them, because that gives me the challenge for balancing. And yeah, I like to balance. So this is a view on my studio. At that moment was it very clean. It's not always like that. But I have a very small little boxes in front of me, so I can use very small amounts for doing my testing. So the people who followed lessons today, I make only batches for 10 grams, because then I can perfectly do 2 tiles for my tests. And I do it because I want to be as sustainable as possible. So I really choose to make small batches to work as sustainable as possible, although it's not actually really possible. This is a work that started 4 years ago. Actually, I have still one restaurant that uses my plates, and every year they order a batch of plates, and I make them for. Still make them for them, and these are the bread plates that size, and also that I throw them. But I started 4 years ago by putting leftovers from my research on that plate and put them in the bottom of my kiln. Just to use my leftovers, but also to experiment with the things I just think about and I want to try. So actually these are leftover plates, and I collect now, I guess we are almost at 100 by now. And a friend of mine, she's a documentary maker, she asked me, can you tell me the story of each plate? And actually every plate has a story, because it's kind of a diary with, every time I do a kiln, there are a few plates in the bottom. And she asked me to start a podcast, to talk to her 5 minutes about a plate. And we are still doing that. So we have now 44 episodes of a podcast, but it's in Dutch, I'm sorry. Maybe you can learn some Dutch to listen. So I explain 5 minutes about the curiosity on that plate, because it is because of the curiosity I make that plates. And sometimes it's about the glaze, sometimes it's about the shape, sometimes it's about something else, it's really funny. You cannot translate a podcast so easy, yeah? But it's nice to do, and we're still doing it. This is some explanation of my research. The people from today saw already a few of those slides. These tiles I made for the school, for the university where I'm working on my research. They can stand vertical in the kiln. I also designed a very small little pot to dip the tiles perfectly in, that I can only with 10 grams dip my tiles. Yeah, sometimes a little bit crazy, but yeah, actually those tiles always, they have already been for me a start for an artwork too. I don't know sometimes when the research stops and the artwork starts. This is one of my slides I use in my teaching. And sometimes art is more in the top of my balancing. These are some examples from artworks. I don't think while I'm doing this, I'm just playing around. And they are small, and that gives me the freedom to just play. Because if I had to make this in a big piece, I really have to think, I'm going to do that. If I make it small, I can just play. And I combine them with other materials. I try to balance things, always. I make little cranes, I make little pictures. And actually, yeah, I found my themes, I guess. These are a bunch of small cranes with all their boxes they fit in, and someone told me it's more looking like toys. And yeah, my husband was a toy designer, and actually toys are everywhere. So also a little one, again on a little plate. So I reuse everything. Sometimes I use little pieces that my colleague artists in the same studio thrown away, and I get them out of the bin and I use them. That's also playing, just what you find and try out. That gives also a kind of playing. Since a while, I'm also trying. I always drawn. I drawn a lot in my sketchbook, small sketchbook. And yes, sometimes you need to present something in an exhibition that takes a little bit more space, because when you come a curator and you say, this is my piece, they don't know where to put you. Somewhere in a corner on a plinth, and it's like my work is actually too small for in an art exhibition. So, and then my colleague, she said, why aren't you using your drawings? You make nice drawings, show them. But I didn't realize that my drawings were, also interesting to see. But now I make them very big, in big kind of prints, like wallpaper, and I glue them on the wall, and I push my pieces in front of it. The pink veils, I like plastic veils, sorry. It's kind of a network, it's something you can reform in another shape. And so I was in China for 6 weeks a month ago, and I came home with all kinds of colors of that material, because when you go to a fruit shop, you can find oranges, they are packed in this kind of materials. So yeah, my suitcase was not heavy, but filled with all kinds of stupid stuff. This is a series I made, also very small, pictures with little breasts. 1000 before Christ in Greece, there was an island, and they found this kind of big pictures, that big, like women spouted nipple ewers, they are called. Akrotiri, it's now Santorini, it's called. And I was really obsessed, like, why did they make that little breasts on that pots? Was it a handle, that the big ones, that they have to take it? And I started to study the shape, so I researched the shape by doing several times new one, and why is it working like that? So I guess it's kind of a handle, but there were, the archaeological people who investigated have another story why it is, more like symbolic and so on, but I think it's kind of a handle. So I made a lot of, you see also in my drawings, that was also kind of my research of that, researching the shape. And this is actually my last piece, and I made it 4 weeks ago in China. And I researched in China the clay over there, the porcelain in Jingdezhen. It's awful, it's like rubber. But I really wanted to throw with it. So I started making small pieces, and it didn't work because the material over there, it wasn't working for so small. I had to throw them bigger because the porcelain was sticking to my fingers. It was so, thixotropic. You cannot work with it. As I couldn't work with it as I was used to do with the clay from Germany, where I work with. So I had to make bigger ones. These are like that. The glaze I was also researching. This is also K3. This is the glaze that we discussed today from krijt, kaolin, and quartz, equal amounts, with then the Chinese krijt and kaolin and quartz. And we put it in the gas kiln for a reduction, and it became at itself a celadon glaze. It was like, oh my God, it is the real celadon, and that has to be the start of celadon. So I was really very pleased with these pieces. So I guess that's it. That's my talk. If you have any questions, you're always welcome to ask me. I've talked and told everything, I guess. I'm going to drink something.
So how do you get enough precision with 10 grams for one sample? Helle just whispered to me when you said 10 grams, like, did we hear this right? You know, and it makes sense with the way you make your tiles with the cup, the way you apply it. Would you use any special kind of measuring, or do you ball mill your ingredients to reach a smaller particle size to get the distribution?
No, I don't ball mill. Not yet. I really want a ball mill, but not yet. That's the future. But I measure very precise. I have a scale with 2 digits behind the point, and you really need to work very precise, otherwise it doesn't work. And I also do always, I peer review myself. I do twice. And yeah, actually if you work very precise, you can work perfectly with 10 grams. But now I have beautiful pink glazes, and I need only 0.04% of chromium in 10 grams. Then you have a problem. But I have a trick for that. I found out that I can make then a solution with my chromium and use a solution to, then I calculate a lot. So I do maths, yes. So actually, yeah, I went to university a few years ago to material science, and I learned there how I can work more precise and scientific way of balancing and thinking. And so I really look for solutions if I have a problem. And that's a little bit thinking as an engineer in my artistic practice. So it is possible. Yeah.
And I also really like the way your little, the boiler, the hook, yeah, that you change the position, like now it's more art, now it's more like which balance you need and want, and that you can integrate your teaching, your glazes, your shapes. I think that's very beautiful way of thinking.
Yeah, actually, I didn't thought about it before it happens, and then I realize afterwards. And therefore it's good to do some lectures like this sometimes, because then you realize while you're making your lecture like, oh, this is kind of, yeah, connecting. And actually everything is connected in my choices, I realized. So, yeah. But I think that with a lot of people, of course, you have connection with your history.
Yeah, but it's just a nice way to put words on it, and also there's a lot of artists here teaching also, and it's always the issue, like, oh, I have my teaching, but then letting it integrate into each other. It's a unique thing you do there, I think.
Yeah, maybe I can tell. I'm starting now on my PhD, and one of the methods I'm working with is called artography. And artography is a Canadian scientific approach of researching arts, research and teaching, artography. So it's written with an A and then a slash, and an R slash T, and then a slash again, and then ography. And the graphics is about the writing and talking, and the language about art, research and teaching. And they combine all those knowledge. It's a research group in Canada who's working around that topic. And I'm really interested in reading about it, and then I realized I'm doing that. But they are the researchers about that topic, and I'm doing what they write about. So I'm now starting on my PhD about ceramic skin, and I'm using the mythologies that they are writing about to see if it's working like that. But it is, for me, on my way, yes.
And can you just briefly explain, I know it's difficult to do it briefly, but just shortly a little bit about your PhD?
Yeah. Anouk laughs with me. I'm still trying to explain my research in 2 sentences, and Anouk said I had to do it in 1 sentence. I'm starting in September, so I have still a few months to get it straight. But yeah, my PhD is about the ceramic skin. And I told you today, for me, ceramic skin is more than just the surface. It goes deeper. It's the whole crust from the outside, then the intermediate layer between your glaze and your clay, and then the clay itself is also part of the skin. So I want to research all the topics that has to do with ceramic skin, and I want them, always discover in combination with my idea of what I can do with sustainability, because sustainability is such a difficult topic. you don't have straight answers for what is sustainable and what isn't. We were discussing today what is best, a water glass for water, a plastic bottle or a glass bottle. And in university, we had big discussions about it, and actually, most of the time, it's the plastic bottle better than the glass bottle, although you don't think so. But it has to do with so many factors, and it's very difficult. And I want to research the ceramic skin always in the question about how sustainable is it. But it's not in one sentence. Huh? Something like that. So, but I will take 4 years for my research. So then invite me again, and then can I come and tell? Thanks.